One coach walked into Las Vegas with a Super Bowl reputation and left behind nothing but ashes, broken rosters, and a fan base that still hasn't fully recovered. Now let me ask you something real quick. When was the last time a single coaching hire genuinely destroyed a franchise's momentum so completely that players are still posting about it on social media years later? Because that is exactly what is happening right now with the Las Vegas Raiders. A former Raiders safety just went on Instagram and called out his old head coach by name, said he ruined everything the organization had built, and basically blamed him for torching an entire era of Raider football. And honestly, the man has a point. So today we are breaking down the full Josh McDaniels disaster from start to finish. Every bad move. Every questionable decision. Every moment where this franchise had a chance to grow and instead watched it crumble in slow motion. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. The post that broke the internet. Jonathan Abram, former first-round safety for the Las Vegas Raiders, took to Instagram recently with a message that set the NFL internet on fire. He expressed how much he missed being part of that Raiders locker room, and then laid the blame for everything falling apart directly at Josh McDaniels' feet. He said McDaniels sabotaged the organization and destroyed what they had built together. Strong words. But here is the thing. Abram was not just venting out of nowhere. This man lived through it. He was drafted as part of one of the most hyped Raiders draft classes in recent memory, coming into Las Vegas alongside Max Crosby, Clelin Ferrell, and Josh Jacobs. That class was supposed to be the foundation of something special. And for a moment, it actually looked like it might be. The Raiders went on a 2021 playoff run that nobody saw coming. They overcame everything. Drama, coaching changes, off-field chaos, and they still found a way to get into the postseason. The entire Raider Nation was riding high. The future looked bright. Then the front office made one decision that changed everything. But wait until you hear just how badly the roster got dismantled once McDaniels walked through the door. Chapter 2. Bringing the wrong culture to the wrong team. When the Raiders parted ways with Rich Bisaccia after that playoff season, a lot of fans wanted him back. He had earned the locker room's trust. Players loved playing for him. But ownership went in a different direction and brought in Josh McDaniels from New England along with general manager Dave Ziegler. The idea was simple. Bring in the Patriot way. Import that winning culture. Build something sustainable. What actually happened was a complete teardown of a roster that had real pieces in place. Right away, McDaniels and Ziegler made a massive splash by trading for Davante Adams, sending a first and second round pick to Green Bay to land one of the best wide receivers in the entire league. On paper, that looked incredible. Derek Carr finally had a true number one weapon. Josh Jacobs was in the backfield. Darren Waller was still in the mix. The offense looked loaded. Raider Nation was hyped. And then, piece by piece, it all fell apart. Who do you think was the single worst move of the entire McDaniels era? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Chapter 3. The roster demolition nobody asked for. Here is where things get genuinely insane. Within just 1 year, the Raiders front office made so many head-scratching moves that it felt less like building a team and more like intentionally burning one down. Alex Leatherwood, a first-round pick from just the year before, got cut before the 2022 season even started. Gone. Just like that. Trayvon Mullen, a former second-round pick, got traded away before that same season. Hunter Renfrow, who had just put together a breakout year, slowly disappeared from the offense entirely. Yannick Ngakoue, who had been one of the best pass rush partners Max Crosby ever had in Las Vegas, got shipped out in exchange for a move that brought in Chandler Jones. And that trade looked even worse in hindsight when Jones dramatically underperformed and things eventually went sideways off the field as well. Then there was the Josh Jacobs situation. The team declined his fifth-year option, which should have been a simple decision to keep your best offensive player locked in. Instead, Jacobs went out and had an absolutely massive season, rushed for over 1,500 yards, won the rushing title, and suddenly the Raiders had to pay a much higher price than they would have if they had just handled it properly from the start. Every single one of these moves made fans scratch their heads. And none of them were made in a vacuum. They all pointed to a front office that was operating with a vision that never quite matched the reality on the ground. But the move that truly split Raider Nation right down the middle was still coming. And it was the biggest one of all. Chapter 4. The Derek Carr decision that had no answer. Moving on from Derek Carr was not the problem. A lot of fans, even loyal ones, had started to feel like the team had already seen the best version of Carr and that it was time to look toward the future. That conversation was completely fair. The problem was what came next. Or more accurately, what did not come next? The Raiders moved on from Carr without having a real successor ready to go. No high-upside young quarterback waiting in the wings. No serious plan at the position. Instead, they brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, a solid enough quarterback when healthy but not someone you build a franchise around long-term. And the backup plan behind him, Aidan O'Connell, came in with minimal expectations and limited support around him. There were whispers at the time, and they have only gotten louder since, that the entire McDaniels plan was built around the hope that Tom Brady would eventually come to Las Vegas. Brady had already flirted with the Raiders organization in the past. The connection to McDaniels from their New England days together made it feel possible. But Brady retired, then unretired, then retired again, and none of those decisions included a stop in Las Vegas. That left the Raiders holding nothing at the most important position in football. And the clock was ticking on McDaniels' time with the team. Chapter 5. The fallout and the voices who felt it before Jonathan Abram was not even around to see the full collapse. He was released halfway through the season, which only added fuel to his frustration. A first-round pick, a member of that celebrated 2019 draft class, let go before the year was even over. That says something about how far things had fallen. And he was not alone in his feelings. Former Raiders linebacker C.J. Moore also responded to Abram's post, pointing out that McDaniels was not the only coach to burn a player who gave everything to the silver and black. Moore went through his own falling out with the organization years earlier under a different staff and got traded for almost nothing despite being a beloved figure in Oakland. The pattern of discarding loyal players without proper appreciation is one that cuts deep across multiple Raiders generations. McDaniels was eventually fired before he ever got the chance to fully rebuild what he had dismantled. Whether he needed more time or whether the hiring was doomed from the very first press conference is a debate that Raider Nation will probably never fully settle. Chapter 6. What could have been and what comes next here is the honest take. Would the Raiders be in a better spot today if they had just kept Rich Bisaccia after that 2021 playoff run? Probably somewhat. The culture would have stayed intact. The players who had bought in would have remained. The foundation would not have been ripped apart. But Bisaccia also had his own limitations. He was running a system that had been built under a previous regime, and taking full ownership of a franchise long-term would have come with its own set of challenges. It was not a perfect solution either way. What matters now is where the Raiders go from here. A new coaching staff, a new era, and a fan base that is desperate to feel that 2021 energy again. That playoff run meant everything to Raider Nation. They defied every prediction, silenced every critic, and made the postseason against all odds. Nobody gave them a chance. They gave themselves one. That version of the Raiders is the one fans want back. And right now, the organization owes it to its people to build something that lasts longer than one chaotic coaching tenure. Raider Nation, let us know in the comments below. Was the McDaniels era a disaster from day one? Or did he simply not get enough time to see his vision through? Drop your honest take down below. The comments section is yours.